Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be doing a video featuring a full furniture makeover. I'm going to be using two products, one I've used before and one I've never used before. So let's just go ahead and get started. So I've already wiped my piece down with Crud Cutter and now I'm wiping it down again because I scuff sanded it, which in this case I scuff sanded it because I'm not priming it and it was a little bit on the slick side. So now I'm just wiping down all the excess dust. All right, the glass front's all taped off and ready to go. The legs are taped off and foiled, a trick that I learned from my friend Lindsay at Forever Pink Vintage that helps preserve and not allow me to get overspray on them. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and get the paint ready for our spray gun. So with Country Chic paint, it is a little bit on the thicker consistency side. So I have my water ready. So I'm going to go ahead and dilute this. For me, I've been doing this so long, I actually don't even measure anymore. But what I tell people to do is if it's your first time or you're newer to spraying, use a viscosity cup. Usually those come with your sprayer. And the sweet spot for knowing how thin your paint should be is about 35 to 40 seconds. It will depend on the paint though. In my case, I'm just going to go ahead and eyeball it. I'm so used to spraying. I spray every day and I know what consistency I'm looking for. Just stir it really, really well to know what consistency I need to see. And then I go from there, whether I need to add more or add more paint possibly. I always say go on the more conservative side because if you add too much water and get it too thin and you don't have enough paint left, then that can cause a problem. So I always start more on the conservative side and add more water if necessary. I also recommend just sticking with stirring because shaking can cause air bubbles in your paint and you don't want that. So I just continue to stir until I get the right consistency that I'm happy with. This looks about right. All right, now it's time to get the paint on. And I realized I zoomed in pretty close so you guys could see, and it ended up cutting off the top portion of the video, but that's okay. You'll see here in just a minute what the coverage looks like. I wanted to get in close so you guys could really get a nice idea of how this paint lays down, which it's beautiful. Now I didn't prime this piece, and you don't need to prime every piece. I've used Country Chic many times before. This is a mid-tone color, and I felt like the prep that I did between Crud Cutter, water, scuff sanding was good enough. So I didn't prime this because I wasn't worried about bleed through, and like I said, Country Chic has excellent coverage. If I was going with a white or a very light color, I would have primed this. Now I want to focus the attention there on what looks like they're drips or runs, and they actually are not. We noticed when we went to clean the cabinet with the Crud Cutter, it instantly made these type of stains on the cabinet. I was concerned at first, but I did a little section and I figured it was totally fine. Like I said, this was done with Crud Cutter, water, wiped dry, and scuff sanded. It didn't end up being any sort of a problem. It had something to do with the Crud Cutter. The minute we sprayed it on the cabinet, it brought out that weird effect. Again, not runs, and it didn't have any effect on the overall finish at all. So I do want to remind you that the first coat is never going to be beautiful. Don't expect miracles when you go put that first coat on. As you can see, I've got some peek through coming of that wood underneath. I'm not concerned, and I know with the coverage that Country Chic provides, it's going to go ahead on the second coat and really kind of start to pull together. You definitely don't want to add too much paint at once because you can get drips and runs and it will take a lot longer to dry. So nice, light, even coats, brushing or spraying. All right, one side down, and now we're going to do the top. I had to get on top of a step stool to go ahead and do this, which isn't my most favorite thing to do, to be feet off the ground. However, it needed to be done. So I'm just giving you another shot right here of spraying so you guys can see. I like to show you different angles so that you know exactly how every part of the piece is done. And I know I say this often about Country Chic paint, but one of the things that I love so much about their paint is the coverage. This is one coat. Now, obviously it's not a one coat paint and I have to go back for a second coat, but the coverage is just amazing. All right, so I wanted to get in really close and show you. I've gone ahead and finished off all sides of the cabinet, first coat only, and give you a really close up so you guys could see how beautiful the finish is. It's soft, it's smooth, it's buttery, and the coverage is amazing. Now, like I said, it isn't a one coat coverage type of paint. Right there, you can see I've got that wood kind of peeking through. It's not bleed through, it just needs more coats. So as soon as this dries, we'll go ahead and get on our second coat. And I apologize, it's a little bit blurry. I don't know what was going on with my camera there. Now, you know, I always turn my pieces over on their backside, and one of the main reasons is this. All of this would not get painted if I didn't turn it upside down and get underneath. It's way too hard to do if the piece is standing up straight, so in this case, it was really challenging because there was no solid bottom, but I got it to work. So I just go ahead and I take care of what I call the undercarriage and spraying all of those underneath spots, even though you're not going to see them on a daily basis. It's nice to have a really good finished product underneath as well as everywhere else. And I decided while it was on its back to go ahead and start with my second coat in certain sections because it was dry and ready for it. And sometimes just getting a different angle on a piece can really make sure that your coverage is optimal and you don't have any dry spots at all. So here I'm just applying the second coat. And as I always say when I'm spraying, you always want to overlap your last coat, making sure you won't have any stripes and you'll have nice even coverage. All right, we're right side up again. Don't mind my broom. It's just holding the door closed. Here we are, 2 coats completely done. I'm done. I'm not doing a third coat. The coverage on this is absolutely amazing. I always like to show how much paint I used. Look how much paint is left after that whole entire project is done. All right, now on to the clear coat, and I'm super excited because I've never used Country Chic's clear coat before. So as always, I recommend that you stir it. Sometimes things can settle at the bottom, so definitely want to stir it. Don't shake it. You can cause air bubbles in your top coat, and you just don't want that. So stir really, really good. The other thing I like to do is strain my top coats. Sometimes this is a brand new jar, but if it weren't a brand new jar and there might be some of the dried product around the top, it can get into your top coat. So as a good habit, I always strain my top coats. All right, so we're all ready to top coat, but the thing that I want to do is make sure I'm tack clothing the bottom, which I have stained. I did that off camera. It was just something that I didn't film for the video and really wasn't relative to the Country Chic paint product that I'm talking about today. So what I'm doing now is just tacking those off to make sure there's no fibers or any lint. And you don't want to tack off your paint. That typically I would just wipe down with a microfiber cloth or blow off anything that might have gotten onto it. Tack cloths have oils in them and you don't want that to deposit on your paint. To go with our clear coat, I'm going to go ahead, and it might be hard on camera for you to see the clear coat going on, which I do realize some angles you can't really see it, but it is actually happening and it's going on. It's basically the same application. There you can see a little tiny bit with the shadowing of the clear coat going on, but it's basically the same application that you would do paint when you're spraying the top. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and take care of top coating the rest of the piece. And as you see, I'm also doing the legs because those were stained. As I mentioned, I stained those off camera and those were already ready to be top coated at the same time. I try to do things in an order that make most sense for each project. In this case, I sanded those legs to bare wood, stained them first, taped them off, and then thought everything can get clear coated at one time. So that's what I'm doing now. A good question that I get often is how many layers or how many coats of top coat do I need to put on? I typically do 3. That's kind of my standard number. It's enough for durability. You don't want to do too much, especially when the colors are darker. A top coat can cloud if you put on too much of it. So I like to stick around 3 coats. So here I want to show you guys, I do sometimes sand in between coats of top coat. Sometimes it can feel a little bit gritty or sandy when you're spraying your top coat. So what I'm going to do is take my 800,000 grit sanding pad and just kind of knock down any of that feeling that doesn't feel smooth. I'm not doing this really aggressively. You don't need to. After I go ahead and sand that section, it feels buttery smooth. So I like to do this sometimes. I would just recommend feeling each project and deciding if you need to. A lot of questions on overspray and why I don't get very much of it, or on camera it doesn't appear that there is any overspray because I have a lot of fans going. This one sucks out while the other one pushes out. So I keep one fan that I just showed you facing outwards, and that helps suck out any of the overspray. This one is more of a cooling unit, but it also helps to push out a lot of that spray so that I don't get a lot of overspray in my shop. It works fabulously. All right, guys, that is it. We are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoy working with Country Chic paint. I've used it, like I said, many times before, but today was the first time I used their clear coat, and I was really pleasantly surprised how much I love it because I've always used the same clear coat. So it's hard for me to branch out and try new products when it comes to certain things I'm used to, but I really liked it. I will say spraying is different than brushing though. So I will try to feature a video in the future where I use a brush applying the clear coat because I know not everybody sprays. Thank you so much for tuning in and being subscribers. If you aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get all of my latest and greatest videos and be a part of my YouTube community, which helps support my channel and keep me going. If you have any questions or positive comments, make sure you place them down below. I love engaging with you guys and I'll always answer your questions. Thanks so much and I'll catch you on the next video.